Hello, and welcome to Pragmatic Live, Pragmatic Marketing's webinar and podcast series where we tackle the biggest challenges facing today's product teams. My name is Rebecca Calageris. I am the Vice President of Marketing and Sales at Pragmatic Marketing, and more importantly to you, the host for today's event. Before we get started, a couple of housekeeping items. First, a recording of this webinar and a copy of the slides will be available afterwards. You'll be able to access them by the end of the day at pragmaticmarketing.com/live. Second, questions. We love questions, and we want this to be as interactive as possible. If you look to the left of your screen, you'll see a chat box. Whenever the desire arises, feel free to enter any and all questions you have in that box, and we'll work hard to get through as many of those as we can throughout the presentation. Now, many of you are already familiar with Pragmatic Marketing, but for those of you not aware of us until today, welcome to the family. Pragmatic Marketing specializes in training companies and product teams on how to be truly market-driven. We provide techniques for listening to the market and gathering market facts, and then using those facts to shape strategies and drive execution. And we've been doing this and doing it quite successfully for over 20 years. Today's topic is one on the minds of every company. How can I quickly and effectively improve the quantity and quality of my leads? Helping us address this key topic is Lauren Pedigo. Lauren knows more than a thing or two about lead generation. Her prospect generation efforts create tens of thousands of leads each month for HubSpot. She's here to show you how you can put the tools and tips she's learned to work for you. So without further ado, here's Lauren.
Hello, and thank you so much for having me, and for everyone on the line, thank you so much for joining. I'm really excited to share some of the tips and tricks that we use at HubSpot to generate leads for us. And in case you aren't familiar with HubSpot, HubSpot is a marketing and sales software company. We're based in Boston, and our sweet spot is companies who are small and medium-sized businesses. And we're all in one platform. You can do all of your marketing in one place. And without further ado, we'll get to some of the content of today, and hopefully you guys will get some great takeaways for how to improve your lead generation in minutes. So here's a little bit about what we'll be talking about today. I've kind of split up the presentation into 3 different sections. So this first section will talk about certain things you can do to your website to optimize to just bring in new leads. And these are all, again, quick wins that you can get for your website right now. The second section we'll be talking about is social media. And finally, the last part of this presentation will be about email marketing. And again, we're going to be taking questions throughout the presentation. So at the end of each of these sections, if you have things you want to ask, just please type them into the box, and we'll be taking questions at the end of each section. And we'll go ahead and get started with the website optimization. We're going to start up with a poll question. So if you can go ahead and fill this in on your screen. We just love to hear how you currently conduct A/B tests on your website. Is this something that you do a lot? Is this something you're new to? Just so that can help me kind of frame the conversation we're going to be having in the next few minutes. It's certainly something that we do at HubSpot all the time. We're maniacal about data and testing and continuing to improve. So it's certainly something that's really important for us. And I'd love to hear about you guys. So I'll give you just a couple more seconds to fill that out. All right, we'll go ahead and we will skip to the results and see here. All right, so it looks like we've got quite a variety of people on the line. This is great because this is going to be a great content for you guys to kind of learn about what A/B testing is, as well as like how you can do it. And so for some of the new people on the line who may not have A/B tested anything on their website, A/B testing is simply running a test on your website between 2 different types of content. So whether it's maybe you're going to run the landing page and it's got a headline, and then a second version of it you'll send to a separate part of your audience and it'll have a different headline. So you're trying to figure out, are there certain things about my website pages that I can change to get people to respond better to them? All right, so we'll go ahead and go forward. Thanks everybody for chiming in. This is super helpful. All right, so we'll just go ahead and jump in. And one of the things that we have found on our website to really, again, just generate more leads is a great way to do this is using forms on your website instead of buttons. And one way to do this is it will reduce the number of clicks people have to click to get the information you want them to do. So for instance, if you want someone to subscribe to your blog, like this picture here, we used to have as you can see on the top of the slide, the orange box, and it would take people to a separate page to subscribe. But instead, we built these forms, and then you can just click right on the form and add your email address in, and you'll automatically be subscribed. So it's kind of shrinking the amount of work that the viewer to your page has to do to get the information you want and to get them to do the action that you want them to do. And again, I'll give you a little bit of the results as we're going through. And again, this test that we ran improved conversions by 20%. So we got 20% more people were able to fill out this form, and we were able to collect information about our leads simply by adjusting the call to action on our blog post. So again, this was a super easy fix for us. It was just switching out a CTA for a form, and then we could get great results from it for sure. As we're talking more about forms and collecting information from people, that brings us to our next example. And again, this example is all about removing the barrier of entry and making it easier and easier for people to consume your information and get into your lead generation flow. As you can see, the form on the left is our standard form. It's the form we ask on all of our free ebooks that you can download from our website. We've got hundreds of them available and about all different topics in marketing. And one of the things we noticed was that when people were on mobile devices, they weren't filling out the form. And you can understand why, because if they're finding this form from a social media site or from opening it from an email, who wants to fill out a 15-field form on your mobile phone when the keypad is really small and you can't hit the buttons right and like all of that kind of stuff. So what I was able to do was using our software, you can build what we call a smart form. And it's basically a form that will shrink. It will identify when a viewer is coming from a mobile device, and it will shrink the form so they only have to fill out 3 fields. So as you can imagine, that's making it so much easier for people coming from mobile devices and tablets to fill out a form, because it's not this huge long form that you have to type in. So on a desktop, it's so much easier to type. As you guys know, it's a lot easier to type, but on a mobile phone, it's much harder. So this is one way that we could remove the barrier of entry, make it as easy as possible for people who are viewing our website to really consume our information. At the same time, for us, we're gathering new leads. And the results from this were pretty incredible. We doubled our conversion rate on mobile. So we improved it by twice as much. So it was really, really successful for us, and we're still kind of iterating on this and figuring out other ways we can optimize for mobile, which is such a hot topic, as I'm sure some of you guys know. It's something that is just growing and growing, and it's something that companies need to solve for, because more people are consuming content via mobile and tablet devices. And then again, this section is going to be really helpful and really exciting based on that poll question of running A/B tests. So again, these are more optimizations you can do to your website, and they're all about things you can test against each other to make the conversion rate or make the user experience of your site better and better. So some of the examples that we test at HubSpot are the call to action buttons, the text. So maybe you've got a call to action that says download now, or maybe you've got one that says read it now. And so maybe even just testing those 2 things against each other, you'll be able to see which one does better, right? The same thing with colors. I'm sure people have read blog posts, and there's all kinds of studies about certain people's eyes are attracted to different colors and all of that, and what colors match your website and your logo and what things go together. So that's another test you can do, is changing out the color button from black to red. And does that improve the conversion rate? Another idea is headlines, right? I think that's what I mentioned earlier. Maybe the headline of your ebook is how to attract customers using social media. And maybe another ebook you could write, or you could change out the headline would be how to get more leads through social media. And maybe just changing out that one word in each headline, like maybe that would have a great impact on your lead gen and on people converting, because it's, again, changing that experience for the viewer on your website page. And again, this is another part of the landing page. So a landing page is a page that people go to collect content. Like they go there to download a piece of content, whether it's an ebook or like everyone went to a landing page today to register for this webinar. So that's something else you can A/B test, is the copy on the left-hand side and changing that up. So again, just try and make it as clear as possible. And sometimes people do read that content. So it is about what is going to resonate with the user. Again, now I'm going to go through some examples that we've run at HubSpot, and here you can see the same landing page that we have and we just made one change on it. You can see at the top part of the screen we added a little bit about our company. So that little blurb at the top of the screen, I know it's hard to see on this screenshot, fitting them both on there, but that blurb basically says what HubSpot is. It says HubSpot is a marketing and software company that has 12,000 customers. And just adding that little blurb and giving people more context about what our software does, it kind of builds that trust for the viewer of maybe someone's coming to this page and they've never seen any content from our company, but being able to see this and getting the social proof that 12,000 people use our software, that might be enough just to get people to fill out the form. Right? That's just one aspect of adding trust to your forms and a test you can run. And again, this test, it was really successful. It proved conversions by 3%. You may look at that 3% number and it may not be super wow or huge, but when you're thinking about the number of people and the volume of people on your site, that 3% is just going to keep giving back to you over and over. It's 3% in January, and then it's 3% in February, and it's 3% more in March. It's just going to keep giving to you compounding interest. So even if the numbers are small, you're going to keep getting better and better, which is what you want to do with A/B tests. All right, and again, here we've got another example about progressive profiling. So again, this is another way to shorten forms, and this is something else that we found through A/B tests to find that shorter forms do work, which is not surprising, but it is something that you can implement on your site. So here you can see on the left side, you can see the full lead form. It's 15 fields. It's a full form, and this is the typical form we use on every landing page, because this is all the information we have figured out that our sales team needs to talk to leads when they come in. So you can see we also implemented this test, as you can see on the right, and it's progressive profiling. So it's software that allows your pages to become smart. So when you have someone coming to your landing page for the second or third time, it's not going to serve them up the same full form. It's only going to serve them up questions they have not answered yet. So it's a way to collect information from people about your leads without being overbearing or too much information at once. And again, it's removing that barrier of entry for people. And again, as you can imagine, we collected data on this, and this was one of our marketing customers. They improved their conversion rate by 120% by using progressive profiling just like this. So it's a different form, but same really great result is that it does work, because it just makes it less overwhelming and easier for the user. Now, one of the questions you may be asking is this is great. It would be great to shorten the forms, and that would be awesome to improve the conversion rate. But the question you may be asking is how do I decide what information I should shorten it? So you can see on the right, it's so much smaller. So you may be asking, what kind of questions should I ask as people progress and continue to download more and more content? So here's kind of a chart that I've written up that may be super helpful for you. So maybe if you are doing these shortened forms and you're doing them in 3 tiers, maybe the first tier is just the essentials. It's first name and it's last name and it's their email. And the second tier, when they come back the second time. So again, these first tier questions are when people are to your website for the very first time ever. They fill it out, they get the information, they get the content, you collect a lead. Let's say a couple weeks later, they get an email from your company with a new piece of content that you've released. So when they come back, you can use progressive profiling on your forms to only ask for their company and website, since we already collected the information about the first. And then again, let's say that process is again, they download the second piece of content, they go on their way, you come back a couple weeks later and you shoot them another email with more free content that you have. Then here's another example of 3 questions you can ask. So again, it would be the number of employees, the role of the company, their phone number. You could get into more of the nitty-gritty about your leads. And then again, this is just a way that you can shorten those forms and make it easier for people to enter. All right. Okay. Great. So here's another example to improve lead generation. Again, this is something that's real easy to implement on your website. You can honestly do this in a couple of minutes. This is when someone comes to your landing page, they download the offer. You collect the information about them, and then you're going to redirect them to a thank you page where they're going to be able to physically download the zip file or download the PDF and save it to their computer. This is such a great opportunity that a lot of companies don't take advantage of. It's an opportunity where the person coming to your site is already bought into what you're sharing with them, what content you're sharing with them. So this is a great opportunity to ask them to share it with their audiences. So on all of our thank you pages, as you'll see if you've ever downloaded HubSpot content, we always will ask people, hey, is this something that you're interested in? Would you like to email it to your colleague or to your friend? Which you can see that blue button on this screen. And then below that, you can see the 3 little icons, and those icons are all social sharing links. So they're built in, and somebody clicks on that Facebook button, and it's going to open their Facebook window, and it will be able to share it to their page, and they can make whatever message they want. It's like totally voluntary, right? And the same thing for LinkedIn and Twitter. And these are just like simple ways that you can add, you can use the power of social media to share your content. And let's say you've got a template for thank you pages like we do. We use a very similar template on all of our thank you pages. So once you build it once, all you have to do is update the URL for every page. It's not like you're rebuilding this over and over and over. So again, it's one of those updates that you can make to your process of doing marketing that will just continue to give back to you over and over and over. Another really, really powerful tool, and this is a free tool, it's called Marketing Grader. And this is a tool that you can use. You can plug in your website into this tool, and then it's going to shoot you out this free report. And in the report, it will give you different suggestions of how to improve your website based on different areas of your marketing. And again, it's totally free. It's really comprehensive, and you can see in this screenshot, there's several different sections that it will give you more experiments that you can run. So it'll give you ideas. So for instance, like the blogging section, it'll have check marks of how many blog posts are you writing a week. Like it'll tell you, and it will give you suggestions of like other frequencies that you can use. The same thing with social media. It's gonna run your website and say like, are all my social media accounts connected to one another? Are they all posting at a regular frequency? Like it'll identify some things that are opportunities for your website to improve. And finally, the SEO. That's another thing that is like a really big topic. And that topic, it'll do some keyword research for you. It'll give you suggestions. It's another great tool to give you more information about it. And then another section is lead generation. And this is the part of the report that will pull information about your landing pages. So again, great piece of free resources, and it will pull how are your headlines doing, how is your download button, like is it optimized for search, like some of these other things. And then finally the mobile section, which is something we had talked about with the mobile forms. Again, that's just a great opportunity, and it'll just kind of scan and say, is your website responsive? Is it showing giant forms when you're on a mobile device? Is it loading properly so it's not like a long load time for your people? So it's really, anyway, this report, I can't speak highly enough of it. It's a free report. You can run it on your website. It's great stuff. Okay, so that kind of brings us to the end of this first section about website optimization. So we're going to go ahead and take some questions. So if you've got any questions about any of these experiments that I just explained, I would love to hear them and love to answer them. If you will give me just a second. All right.
And Lauren, we did have some questions come in. We have a question from Danielle. Does the progressive profiling feed into a CRM and collate all of the information?
That is a great question, Danielle. Thanks for asking that. And the answer is yes, certainly. I'm sure it's dependent on what type of CRM you're using and what type of form software you're using. For our software, it all feeds into each other, and so it's just going to continue to add data to the contact records of all of your leads as they fill out more information. And I'm sure that, there's quite a variety of different CRM systems, and I'm sure there's a way that they would all kind of work together and you'd be able to just like keep getting that information over and over, for sure.
Excellent. And now Christine asks, do you do A/B testing on production sites or with focus groups or somewhere else?
Oh, that's a really great question as well. That's a really great question. So we do that. We certainly do. When we're relaunching like a new page of our website, or for instance, we do a big customer conference in the fall. And so we would do testing with kind of internal groups or maybe people who are kind of like friends of our company to kind of get their initial feedback when we're launching like something net new, something brand new, because we want to see, does it make sense to that person? Is it intuitive? Is it easy to use? Does the person automatically know where to focus their attention on the new content? So certainly we'll use focus groups or, again, just like other people in marketing that we trust. That's really a big one. As far as running A/B tests, so we also do, the vast majority of the tests that we do are tests on existing pages. So let me see if I can slide back here to the page where I was listing the A/B test. Let's see, here we go. So this example, which I just showed a couple of moments ago, this is one that we ran after it was already launched. This is the template we use for the vast majority of our landing pages. It's pretty much our tried and true landing page template. But we still wanted to see, is there a way we can improve this still? So there's multiple different kinds of software that can do A/B testing. It's built into HubSpot, but there's also this company that I've used before in a previous role. It's called Optimizely, and their software is super intuitive. It's really good to use. You get a lot of data. It gives you a dashboard of clicks and where they clicked and how long people are on your site, and it's like the analytics in Optimizely are really great too. And again, it basically, that kind of software lets you run the test at the same time, and the software identifies when new people are coming to the website. And let's say you have 10 people coming to your landing page. It will serve 5 of the people the first version of your test, and it will serve the next 5 people the second version of your test, the B version. And so it's random, so it is a random sample, and then it will give you the results of like their clicks and their conversions. So again, it's just built into the software, and it's just an easy way. Once you get it set up and once you learn the software, it's pretty easy to implement, and you can test all these different features. So whether it's adding a box to the top like this example, or changing that headline, or changing the picture, maybe you put a video there, or shortening the copy. But there's so many different things you can do, and those types of software is what you do all of that.
And can you just repeat the name of the software one more time? We had a couple questions
come in about
that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the name of the software is called Optimizely. And I'm sure there's other software as well. That's just one that I've used that was really helpful at my last company.
Great. All right. Well, let's move on to your social media optimization tips.
All right. That's great. Give me just a second to bump my slides here. All right. Great. Sweet. So this section we'll be talking about some social media optimizations, and this is something that when I was doing some research and kind of collecting ideas that we have used, this is something I was surprised at some of the things that we do. So we'll just jump right into this section as well. Great. So I'm not sure if people are familiar with this platform called SlideShare, but it's super useful. HubSpot, we use it out the wazoo. Like we've got 800 something slide decks uploaded to this website. And basically it's a website that's totally free to use, and you can upload presentations that you've done or slide decks that you created onto this site, and you can create your own profile. So it's also really helpful if you want to learn about a certain topic. So if you wanted to learn about social media marketing, you could follow all these different social media companies, and you would have a feed of like their content that they're creating. And again, it's totally free. And there's other stuff on there too, whether it's marketing or business or food or traveling, lighting. Like there's all kinds of topics on there, and it's totally free for anyone to use. So this is a tool that we use a lot, and as you can see, our company, we have a lot of people who speak, so it's a great spot to like upload your slides after you do a presentation, and then it's a place where you can point people to the slides. It's basically just like a home for your presentations, if you will. And so one way that we use this tool is through lead capture forms. So you can see on this slide, you can see all the different like types of presentations. And this is like the home page of it. So there's just like constantly new content all the time, just scrolling. So there's lots and lots of new stuff on there. And one way you can use this is with these lead capture forms that I just mentioned. So this is a screenshot of the HubSpot page. So this is our home page. And one way you can use this is after people view it to a certain number of of slides, then the software is going to pop up and say like, hey, do you want more information from this company? Like, you're consuming this content. If you're interested in more, like, give them your email and they'll send you more content that's related to it. So, and you can also see in the top right corner of this box, there's like a skip button. So it's not required. It's totally optional. But it's one way that we can capture people who are consuming our content and who are interested. And again, it's totally voluntary. So it's people who are raising their hand and saying, yes, I want to learn more about your company. And so again, whatever vertical you're in or whatever industry you're in, whether it's automotive or business or finance or pharmacy, like any of these things, you could create content about that and put it in here, put it in SlideShare, and then it's like a great way to just capture those leads. And afterward, in your account in SlideShare, you'll be able to see all the people who have filled it out, and you can export that CSV and then upload it to your site. And some marketing software companies, like, it has an automatic integration, so it's even less manual than that, which is how our company works. So it's great. All right, and then here we go. So yeah, this is just kind of a 5% of all of our leads from social media come from this platform. So it is something, and it's one of those tricks you can do, and it's just going to keep giving back to you. It's just over and over. This isn't something that we pour a lot of hours in every month. It's just like, oh, we've got a presentation, let's upload it. And then over time, again, 5% every month, it's like compounding interest. It just keeps helping you and helping you and helping you. Great. And the next section, or the next kind of example I have here is, this is a paid example. So if anyone does paid social media ads, this is just a great another alternative. So the image on the left is your standard social media ad. So for Twitter, so it's an image. It's got text. You can see the little promoted tweet comment at the bottom, and it's something that you create in the Twitter ads platform. But which is great. That's a great way to get people to click on your link or to kind of grow awareness about your brand. It's great for all those things. And you can see on the right side, this is what is called a Twitter lead gen card. And this is a card in quotes here. It's a way that people can sign up for your content without having to click through to a link to go to a landing page. So for instance, this example on the right, this is an example from the Twitter for Business blog. This is just a screenshot I pulled from their site. And you can see this blue box that says click here. And that box, basically, by clicking on that, Twitter will pull the information, the contact information about that person. And then when they click that, they will open a new window in their browser and start the free trial of this company's software. And at the same time, like, Twitter is pulling their contact information, and then when the user is clicking here, they're agreeing to say, okay, yes, I'm raising my hand and I would like more information about your company. And so then that information is being shared with your company, and that is a lead for you. So again, it's just another way to remove that barrier to entry and making it super quick, and not having to ask that person to click on a link and then go to your landing page and then fill out the form and then click download. Using Twitter lead gen cards is just, they click on the button and they've got the content and you've got the information about that lead. So it's a way to streamline it, and it's another way to do ads that people don't necessarily think about, but it's in the Twitter ads platform. Great. So that brings me to the kind of the last part of this presentation. I'd love to take questions. I know the social media examples was a much shorter section, but does anyone have any questions about social media optimizations you can do for quick lead gen?
We do have a couple of questions. The first one was a clarification from Stasia, and I apologize if I mispronounced the name. She asked that you mentioned a lead capture component when you were talking about SlideShare. Was that built into SlideShare, or was there a different platform that created that form on top?
Yes, it is built in. I'll pull up that screenshot. Yeah, it's built into the software. I'm not sure if there's different versions of the software. It's free to create a SlideShare account. That would be something you'd have to go into. I'm not 100% sure if there's different tiered subscription levels, but there's certainly a free account. And with whatever tier we use, which I can certainly look into that and send that email or whatever, we can get back with her on that question. But with that, it's just natively built into the software. So when you're uploading the presentation, one of the questions is like, hey, would you like to have a form on this presentation? And then you can choose like the 10th slide or the last slide. And at HubSpot, we use it on the 10th slide, so kind of early in the presentation.
Excellent. And another question while we're on the SlideShare slide.
Sure.
Danielle wanted to know if you can do recordings of presentations or just the slides themselves on SlideShare.
It's just the slides themselves, so it's not video. They also do have a section on there for infographics. So if that's something that your company does, there's a way that you can also do this exact same thing but for infographics and not slide decks.
Excellent. And then for Frank asks if there is a cost for the Twitter lead gen cards.
Sweet. I will pull up this shot here. Again, just like regular Twitter ads, it will be, I'm not sure if it's cost per click or cost per download, but it is a paid social ad, so you will be paying for it. I think you'd want to do some testing on figuring out like which one of these works better, right? I mean, so there is certainly some optimization there for that, but again, it's just like if you were to do Google AdWords, right? Like that's a paid ad that you're running on the internet. This is just like a different type of ad. Does that answer that question?
I think so. And then Catherine asked for the same Twitter lead gen cards. Do you get email information or just the Twitter handle for the people who sort of do the click here?
Yes, yeah, you would get email address as well because it pulls their Twitter handle, and then also when you sign into Twitter, you've got to sign in with your email address. So we'll pull that information for you.
Excellent. And then Isabel just wanted to see if you had any quick tips for Facebook or Instagram while you were on the line.
Oh yeah, those are both great topics as well. One thing that we have found with Facebook specifically is sharing the links. So like one thing we'll do is when we have a new piece of content, we'll change the header image of our Facebook page, and then in the comments section or the captions section, we'll put the link to the offer. So the header image would have our banner that says brand new ebook, like how to monitor social media in 10 minutes a day. And then click here for the link. And then in the link, or when you click on the link, when you click on the photo, sorry, speaking a little too quickly here, click on the photo, it'll like pop it up in Facebook like it does, and then the link will be in there. So like that's one thing we found that has been really helpful. And again, you could use like a bit.ly shortened link, like a bit.ly shortened link to measure the total number of clicks on it. So that would be one way. For Instagram, Instagram is kind of hard because you can't put links in a post. If you've ever used Instagram, it really doesn't give you if you put a link in there, like it's not clickable. Like you can't click from Instagram and then go to an outside app and use it. But you can update your profile. So if you go to your profile and you've got free content that you're offering, you might be able to do that on your bio page, if you will, if people were to click through to your profile. That would be one way to do it. But Instagram, we don't really use Instagram for lead generation. It's mostly company culture type of things. We use Instagram more for if people are researching to come and work at our company, that's a great place they can go to see the types of people that work at our company, what kind of things we do for fun, what does our office look like, just more visual things than for lead generation. But again, that might be different if your target audience is on Instagram. So for us being a business-to-business company, not a lot of our leads are looking on Instagram about marketing software, right? But again, if you're serving maybe a younger demographic that uses Instagram a lot, that might be a great place for you to think about content that's more related to your product. It's just not for us.
Excellent. We have a couple more questions, but let's make sure we can get through email marketing tips. I know that's a particular passion of yours, Lauren, and then we can come and pick through some of these if we have time at the end. How about that?
Yeah, that sounds great. That sounds really good. And yeah, like you just said, I managed email here at HubSpot for a year, and honestly, I'm not even kidding you, I delivered probably 1 million emails a week to people. Just like a lot of email that people, again, it was people who had come to our page and said, like, raising their hand and saying, yes, I would love to have more of this free content. So I'm really a nerd about the email marketing. So hopefully everybody's ready for this really nerdery that's going to happen in a couple of seconds. We'll start off again with a poll. And again, this poll is just sort of getting a feel for how you promote email campaigns. Do you ever use email within your company to boost lead generation? So I'm talking about, do you ever share content within your company when you're releasing a new piece of content? And we'll give people a couple seconds to fill that out. It was something I hadn't really thought about, honestly, until joining this company, until joining HubSpot, because it was never something I had done in any of my previous roles. But it really is a great opportunity to just like spread the word about new things that your marketing team or your sales team is doing. Okay, we'll go ahead and get the bar graph up here. Okay, so now this question, we've got quite a lot more variety here of where people are on the spectrum of doing this. And again, it's a great way that maybe people don't think about it as marketing because it's not external, but it is certainly something that can help grow your lead generation. So we'll jump right in, and I'll give you some of these tips for the internal marketing in just a second. Okay, great. So one thing that we do at HubSpot a lot, that is something we really that we have found really, really successful for us, is when we are sending emails. Again, it's totally free content, and it's always targeted, so it's always to people who we think would be interested in it. And we can do that based on contact properties in their record. So we can segment our email list based on what previous type of content people have downloaded. So we're not sending big blast email to everybody in our database. We're only sending it to people who we think would be interested in this content because it's similar to something else they've already downloaded. And one of the tricks that we use is, you can see in this email, it's right below that orange download button. There's kind of like one quick sentence that says like, hey, share the love, like forward this email to your colleague so they can stop creating snooze-worthy presentation slides. So it's just like a quick CTA that is, hey, you love this content? How about you send it to someone else who would also love it, right? So again, it all comes back to like creating really valuable and inherently useful content. And then it's not out of the realm of reality to ask people to share it if they like it, because they're obviously downloading it because it's valuable to them. And here is another way that we have, so we've kind of like tested these different types. And you can see like the one on the left, like the focus is really on the like download the PowerPoint template. And then the one on the right, like you can see it's got like a purplish blue link. And it's also saying download the template, but then like the main CTA on the bottom is for email to a colleague. So this is something that we've ran back and forth different ways. It's just like a different way to like vary the look of the email, but also to call attention to a different thing. So for instance, the email on the right is an email that we sent to a segment of our database who we can tell that they are highly engaged, and also they share our content a lot. So we call them like our evangelists. And that group of people, we sent the email on the right to that said like, hey, email this to a friend, because we know that those people love sharing content and they love feeling like they have the hottest thing in their inbox. So that's like one trick we use, is just adding those email share buttons at the bottom. Okay, yeah, I guess, yeah, again, it's right here. You can see I'm circled now, so this is a little bit easier to see. Just calling it out that there's a couple different ways to format that. Great. All right, and then here we'll get into some of the internal email. Like I was mentioning before, so this is something we do here that is really helpful, and this is what we call an offers notification. So it's an email list that people opt into. So it's people in our company. We use Google Groups. So basically, it's like through our email, people can just say, "Yep, I want to get these emails whenever they come out." And so whenever we're releasing new content, we'll send this out to anyone who's in that group, and it has all kinds of assets in there for people. So it's marketing people, it's sales people, it's services people, like it's different people from across our organization. And in this email, it's saying, "Hey, we're launching this brand new offer today. This is the type of person that might be interested in this. and also here are all the links that you need. So here's the link to the landing page, here's the link to the download, here's the link to the blog post about the offer. And we've also will do, sometimes we'll add in like lazy tweets. So it's just something somebody can copy and paste and then put in there and then just tweet about it. So it's like really quick, really easy for people to use. All right, here's another example of the lazy tweets again. So this is an example that one of my colleagues, she's running a contest on LinkedIn that you can get a free LinkedIn profile makeover, basically. People will have an expert come write your profile for you if you win this contest. And so she sent out this email. And again, this is much more plain text. This is not formatted at all. This is just from her normal personal email. And it's got a couple of tweets in there. So basically all people have to do, copy paste real quick, put it on their Twitter, tweet it out, and you're set to go. And again, this is just a way to like amplify what you're doing with the people in your organization who are most bought into the content that you're creating. And finally, here's this will be sent out after the presentation, but here's like one of our great eBooks with even more tips and tricks. And this is like much more comprehensive than anything that you've heard today. So if you're interested in learning more, this is like a great opportunity. Again, it's totally free and just like a lot of just like really great ideas. So yeah, that brings us to kind of the end of this email marketing section. So I'd love to take any questions that people have about email first, and then we can jump into just like overall questions.
Great. One of the questions we had that came up during the email section, though it's sort of broader focused, is from Vanessa. It says, it seems like HubSpot is able to produce a lot of content. What advice do you have for smaller B2B companies with limited resources in regarding to producing content? Sort of what type, how often, where should they focus?
Yeah, that's a really great idea. That's a really great question. The first thing that comes to mind is I would say that one of the most important things you can do if you're in your company is to start a blog for your business. And I know blogging isn't necessarily the thing people think about, mommy bloggers, fashion bloggers, and kind of that, but our blog at HubSpot is like one of the most valuable assets we have, because every time you're writing a new blog post, you are creating a piece of free content that search engines like Google are going to index, and so then people are searching for that. It's just going to continue to pay back over time and over time and over time. So yeah, I would say that like the first place that would be really good to invest in would be starting a blog, right? And maybe you just write once a week, and then over time all those posts are going to add up. And as far as like long form content, one thing that is a really great use of resources is to hire freelance writers, because you can pay them based on whatever piece of content you're producing. So you get to choose how long you want it to be. You get to choose how much you want to spend. You get to choose the writer. And there's different types of websites, and that's something that we can send out at the end of this email as well. But like we've got a list of like really great freelance companies that we've used before that are like pretty affordable. So I can send that. I can send that to Rebecca also, and she can include that in the email afterward if that's something that's helpful. So those would be my two tips. And another thing would be like webinars. Like that's something else, especially B2B. Like that's kind of really common is to join webinars, right? Like everyone here is trying to learn how to be better at their job. So webinars is something that doesn't necessarily take a lot of money, but also is really powerful. So that could be another option for you. Yeah.
They certainly work well for us, right?
Yeah. And that's a great way, right? Because you can bring in people who are experts in your company. So if you work in pharmacy, like maybe you bring in, like maybe let's say you work in pharmacy and it's like you're a packaging company for pharmacy products. Like maybe you bring in a pharmacist to talk, and then they can tell you about like the different kind of design on the pharmacy bottles that help, like that are like the least mistaken bottles or something. I mean, I'm just shooting from the hip here, but there's certainly things you can do that are outside of your like core. You have the expert from your own company giving the presentation, because those other people, outside people, are also super interesting to your leads as well.
Excellent. And then we got several questions about LinkedIn, both sort of overall tips, and then Radhima had specifically asked that they have a showcase page and if there were any ideas you had for increasing followers.
Oh, great. One thing that we do is we comment on a lot of different groups on LinkedIn. So people within our marketing team are part of different kind of groups within LinkedIn. It's a feature of the product, and there's groups for inbound marketing, there's groups for content marketing, there's groups for social media marketing, there's groups for email marketing. And so whoever in our company specializes in those areas is like in those groups and will share our content through those groups, like if it's really helpful. So that might be one way. Another way, again, this is a paid way, but paid advertising, like LinkedIn has a sponsored updates feature where you can pay to show your ad to people. So that's something else. Another kind of like trick that we have used before is we made a landing page on HubSpot, and it was for the LinkedIn group. So we took a screenshot of like the logo. So like we've got an inbound marketing group basically, and so we took a screenshot of the logo and put information about the group and what you would get out of it, and basically put it on a landing page because that way we could capitalize on SEO credit that our website already has going for it. So, and then basically people could sign up for the page through that landing page, and then they would get redirected to the group. So that might be something else that's really helpful. I know that LinkedIn also has published posts now, so you could have maybe a senior level person at your company writes a post and then publish it from their own page and links back to your page. Or maybe you could, as a marketer, you can ghostwrite it for your CEO and he can post it or something like that too. So those would be kind of my initial ideas for sure.
Great. And then we had a couple of questions around mobile. Kind of what percentage of your visitors are from mobile as a B2B company, and does that vary a lot depending on if it's B2B or B2C?
That's a really great question. I can't really speak too much to B2B versus B2C. I don't have any hard data on that, but I would imagine like B2C is probably much higher, I would imagine. I can say that most of our mobile traffic comes from social media. So it's people who are scrolling through Facebook on their phone and they see a link, or also through blogs. So I think that's people like sharing blog posts through their social channels. And again, I think that comes from being a marketing company in B2B. It's like people read our blog posts and then we'll tweet it out. And then people are on Twitter seeing it, clicking through, and they're on the mobile phone and they're reading a blog post. So those are kind of the two big things for us. I know also that it would be interesting to see like the data on email and mobile, right? It's like so many people now have email on their phone that would be another big chunk. So those are probably the three biggest chunks. As far as percentage, it's hard to say because it's varied on each of those. So I'm trying to think so for our landing pages, I think it's pretty low. It's like less than 10% comes from mobile on our landing pages. And again, it's probably through people finding us on Twitter or through a blog post that they've seen on social media or people opening it in their email.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right, we have a pretty specific good question from Louie. It says, many company Twitter accounts are tied to a single email address, like info@companyname.com. Do Twitter cards pull anything from cookies that give insight into who specifically is engaging with your content from a business account, or is it just the single address?
Yeah, it would be a single address. So it would be a single address, which is true. I guess, it depends on because people may be on their personal Twitter. Like they may work for a B2B company, but they're going to click on the lead gen card from their personal account, right? So it's like I have my own personal Twitter account, and like I see ads on there all the time for marketing companies because Twitter can tell based on my profile that I work in marketing. So other marketing companies are going to serve ads through that. So I'm sure you would get some of that of just general like marketing at HubSpot.com. But I would imagine you would also get people who are normal people who happen to work in marketing companies and also happen to be interested in getting better at their job even when they're not at work, if that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, well that appears to be the questions that we have for today. This was great, Lauren. And thank you everybody for joining us, and thank you Lauren for a great presentation.
Yeah, absolutely. And if anyone has any more questions, I am more than happy to answer them on Twitter. I'll be on for the rest of this afternoon, so please feel free to tweet me your questions, and I would love to chat and geek out about some marketing with you. So yeah, please feel free to tweet me if you have any other questions that didn't get answered, or you think of them later today or tomorrow when you're looking at the slides.
Excellent. And remember everybody that our webinars tie directly to our Box of the Month initiative, where we highlight a different topic from the framework each month and provide extra information, insights, and guidance. Next month's box is a biggie, distinctive competencies. We've lined up Alan Armstrong from Eigenworks and our very own Paul Young to discuss how to use buyer interviews to uncover and validate your distinctive competencies. So be sure to join us Friday, May 8th for that presentation. Again, this one will be online by the end of the day at pragmaticmarketing.com/live. Lauren, the presentation was great. The questions were great. And this does it for the edition of Pragmatic Live. Thank you for joining us, and have a great rest of the week.